Okay, so my presentation is on, it's actually on music, ancient music. We spoke about this earlier on in the semester. So here's a couple of the guys right here, a couple of Neanderthals. And alright, so why do we study these guys? What are we studying cavemen for? What was this thing all about? Well, there's a lot of things that we do that are remnants of caveman behavior. Modern evolutionary psychology even suggests that much of our behavior comes from a very archaic biological origin. And obviously, something we spoke about in class is the inability to experimentally recreate the conditions of the Pleistocene. So a lot of what we deal with here is speculation, what's called archaeological cognition, or backtracking, so to speak. So basically, I'm going to deal with these few questions. Is there any decent evidence that ancient hominids, mainly the Neanderthals, because of the things we dealt with in class, could have enjoyed music 40,000 years ago, as the Divji Bab artifact seems to suggest? And seriously, scientifically, neurologically, could they generate rhythmic and diatonic pitch schemes, as these artifacts seem to suggest? So did they have the apparatus to even impose and separate rhythm and melody? Did they have, is this even possible, or is this a fairy tale that we're looking too into this? So generally, there's a lot of speculation on what actually causes our extra large brains, intellect, and complicated social behaviors. It's a very unique combination of traits that we have genetically. So I'm going to focus on the middle one, which is basically the environmental reaction, which is in remote times environmental conditions existed which caused variations in the evolutionary line of our ancestors. There's also the genetic drift or mutation theory, and there's also that human beings have a strict phylogenesis of their genetic makeup, or their phylogenetics. So I'm not going to get into that. I believe that in terms of creativity and human music, that the environmental conditions, as we're going to see unfold through the rest of the talk here. So there's, again, I'm going to speed through a lot of this. This is background to us. We've spoke a lot about this in class. So, I mean, are we different in degree or type? Basically, again, the main talking point in this slide, what does allow symbolic associations to emerge and to become divorced from the real world? I mean, what caused these Neanderthals to do this, or what, the symbolic explosion, as we're calling it here? And again, this debate between Pinker and Miller, and this whole business with the complex biological adaptations, and is it or isn't it? We've been through this again in class. Is music a byproduct? Is it a complex biological adaptation? Basically, the consensus is on one criterion, which is that music can be responsible for selecting mates, if for any other reason, because of its emotional charge. So that's the researchers have consensus, at least on that point. Darwin says that music is sexually dimorphic, which means that it exists in both men and women, and it wields powerful aesthetic and emotional influence, and probably emerged from courtship rituals. Modern linguists and modern evolutionary psychologists say music may be rooted in sophisticated tonal inflections, which predates modern Homo sapiens and possibly language altogether. So, research is starting to suggest that it's possible that that music and tonal inflections allowed language to emerge, or language emerged from a more sophisticated, less subjective version of syllabic tonal inflections, coordinated over time. Statistical learning. So this is a huge thing right now, guys. We didn't really talk a whole lot about this in class because I know that the psychonomics of this is very difficult to deal with, and we wanted to really stick with the creativity and the evolutionary aspects of and the neurological component. So, but statistical learning, I mean, It really has nothing to do with statistics in the sense how we learn statistics in our statistics classes. Basically what it is that as human beings we learn to recognize the average, and we base our perceptions a lot of times on deviations from the average, so to speak. So there's a lot of theories about perfect pitch, in the sense that people have perfect pitch because C is the most common note. G is the next common note in Western music. For instance, if you're interested in this, I can give you the research. I don't want to get into a whole lot about this now, but post-skip reversal is a phenomenon that I want to kind of touch upon because I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. Is when musical tendencies have musical melodies and phrases have a tendency to go up or to move away in a leap, in a big interval, it's called a leap in music jargon, but what that means is intervallically the ratio is bigger than the average ratio for the musical piece. So it moves away from the tonal center in a leap and then tends to deviate back towards the tonal center. So I mean, it's called post-skip reversal. It's a fancy way of talking about how a regression toward the tonal center. And this just demonstrates it. See, A220, so if 0 is A, so if this one's A, for instance, then B flat, B, C, or I'm sorry, this one's going to be 0, so this is going to be A. So B flat, B, C, and we see that's the tallest one here. So that's just this analysis of this, and here's the actual frequency as I'm speed through all this. This is a little interesting thing that we didn't really deal with. Edelman's neural Darwinist theory, which states that there are competing mental representations for sound. The representations are shaped by exposure to the environment. Representations are favored according to its predictive success. And I'm going to get into this a little bit later. Is there a grammar to music? A lot of the things that possibly are universally grammar or universally evident in all music forms are the business with the Williams syndrome people. Phrase tend to slow down at the end. Phrase contour, the metaphors with pitch height, and those kinds of things. Gelman and Bremen suggest something interesting, that first principles, along with other cognitive psychologists, a lot of times that number and these other ratios and numerosity they tend towards predispositions of frequencies and ratio proportions, and some of the other grammatical aspects of music that seem universal are consonants and dissonances and cadence